July, I made a video that I didn't upload because at the end of that video I got emotional and I started crying, and I couldn't go on explaining you why I started crying. And so I said, okay, I'm stopping it here. I'm going to upload it sometime later in the year. And I didn't feel like doing another video to explain what had happened, and I'm doing it now. The thing is, I was saying something to, or I had in mind, people who were going through the cancer treatment. And I kind of felt this compassion that you feel when, this empathy, when you know what they're going through. And I felt sad, and of course I cried. And it's interesting because this is something that happens, you know. We feel a sort of, we know what other people are going through. And you know how tough it is, you know how difficult it can be, and then you feel like you'd like to hug them or do something for them, and you have all these emotions that come up. And we're like a band of brothers and sisters, you know, although we don't know each other. And perhaps you are now watching this video because you are going through cancer and you might understand what I'm talking about. Or you have survived cancer and you understand what I'm talking about. So this is a sort of secret language between those who have gone through cancer, and you will certainly understand what I'm talking about these feelings coming up and these emotions coming up and showing. And this also happens because you are in a sort of process, of a mourning process, and you are more sensitive than in a normal time. And this mourning process makes you very much sensitive. And this is what I'm going through now. And I didn't know why I was having all these emotions that come out of the blue, like you feel like crying, or you have rage, and or you feel sort of bitter about certain things, and you have all sorts of things going on in your head, and sometimes you don't understand why they are there. But then a person comes who helps you understand what you're going through and tells you that you are going through something completely normal. And this person was, of course, my oncologist, but then most of all is my psycho-oncologist. It's a psychotherapy that is addressed to oncological patients, and it helps you understand those stages you go through after you have survived cancer. Because when you end your treatment, your cancer treatment, it's not the end of this problem. You still have lots to do and lots to learn and lots to adjust after the end of your medical treatment and your operations and all that. And so I understood, thanks to this therapist, is that I'm going through a mourning process. I am mourning my previous life, my pre-cancer life, when I wasn't threatened by the possibility of having cancer again, or you're not threatened by death, put it bluntly and simply. And this is a reality I have to face now. Of course, I'm cancer-free now, but the possibilities of cancer returning are big. And sometimes when you have little pains or aches, or when you see something in an IRM or MRI or whatever, an imaging study, you're like, oh, what's that? So you have this Damocles sword, sometimes really pinching there, and you're like, something can come up again. So this can happen from time to time, it's not every day, but it is there. And so you are like, why the heck do I have to live life now with this threat, this death threat the whole time? And that can be painful, that can be tough to live with, and you have to learn how to live with that. And this is what I'm learning through this therapy I'm doing. And I'm happy that I'm doing it in my own language, Spanish, that I'm doing it in my own culture, because I'm doing it with a therapist who is in Argentina. I started that therapy there, and as I moved back, came back to Switzerland, I continue doing that over Skype, and that helps me a lot. And honestly, if you are going through this post-cancer life and you're kind of confused about your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings of all sorts of things, then a psycho-oncology therapy is something that could really, really help you. And you know, when I was doing my videos every week during my medical treatment, I usually brought forward the idea of my faith, how my faith was helping me. And honestly, now that I am on this other side of the mountain, it continues to help me. Because of course I have all these emotions, explosions, thoughts and things, but my faith in God and what I read in the Bible are tools, are helping me in a huge way to overcome many things. Without that, I don't know how I could cope, because some of my issues can be pretty hard. And you know, there was 2,000 years ago, when those biblical times were going on, there was a man called Paul, and he's known as the Apostle Paul, and he had a tough life. I mean, he had lots of trouble, problems and difficulties. He had to face death several times, but of course he was nourished by this faith in God and in Jesus, and he wrote something to the people who was in Greece, in the city of Corinth. And in his second letter, he wrote something to them that, with what I feel completely, I relate to what he wrote. And I can bet that every one of you that has gone through something tough can understand, particularly if you have this faith in God. And what Paul says is found in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 8 and 9, and it says like this: "We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed." I like that. The problems are still there. The difficulties are still there. You're not a superhuman, you're not a super patient, you don't have all the answers, but you never get to the bottom of the pit where you feel like you cannot come out. You never get so desperate that you don't find a solution or a little light that will remind you that there is hope. So I really cling to this faith, to this God, to my Jesus. And I honestly think that if you do believe in God, you can have this peace that otherwise you would never understand. You can have this tool to help you come out of your problems and your difficulties with a sort of, I don't know, with an extra advantage, because you're not alone. That's the bottom line. You're not alone. And I hope you feel that if you're going through something like this. Well, this is what I wanted to tell you today. I wish you the very, very best, and I'll see you next video. God bless you. Bye-bye.